I'm having a conversation with a friend of a friend at the dinner party the other day, and we talk about what we do for a living. I happen to mention leadership. So she tells me about her toxic boss and how she's a micromanager and sets unrealistic expectations and is just impossible to work with. One thing about me is if I don't know you and we haven't built this relationship of trust and authority, I'm not going to start coaching you because that would just come across as unsolicited advice and nobody has time for that. So I just asked her, well, how long have you been at this job for? And she's like, well, 2 years. And I said, oh, well, how was it before where you were? And she's like, oh, let me tell you about that misogynistic boss and how horrible my colleagues were there. I'm like, oh, interesting. How long were you there for? And she's like, well, 3 years. And I'm like, what about the job before that? And she's like, oh, do I have a story to tell you about that boss and that place? And what I realized is that everywhere this person was going, she always felt like the environment was toxic. Now, is that possible? Yes. Is that most likely what happened? No. Because what I realize is oftentimes we think the environment is toxic because we haven't learned how to deal with people. We haven't learned how to manage up, down, and sideways. And so we find everyone and everything so difficult. But when you learn to communicate with people, when you learn to lead people, when you learn to navigate difficult personalities, your environment shifts because you shift. And you feel like the environment is no longer as toxic as you initially thought it was.